everyone's been focused on Israel, Gaza, the huge debate about Israel and the United States, which is great, fine. But we sort of are ignoring other things that are happening here and abroad as we have that debate. And one of the things that seems to be happening that fewer Americans are aware of is the situation in Russia seems to be getting between Russia and Ukraine and the United States and Europe, NATO, seems to be degrading quickly. Where is that going, do you think?
It's an extreme escalatory phase, 3.5+ years in. As you know, Trump says he's strongly considering giving them long-range Tomahawk cruise missiles. And Russia has said that escalates into direct war. And they're basically calling it World War IV. The CIA called the Cold War World War III. So we are really in with all the ingredients we have with China, the North Korean troops being in Ukraine, all the different proxy countries involved. This really is a new world war. The only question is, will it continue to escalate, which it is now. And in the next phase, we know that NATO has already been caught with Zelensky with Ukraine 2 years ago shooting missiles into Poland. They tried to blame on Russia. There's been those drones that they claim came out of Russia, but Russia says was basically a setup. A few months ago, you have Operation Spiderweb 3 months ago with smuggled drones as far as 4,000 miles away from Ukraine in Russia on its coast with Japan, with their bear bombers being blown up, part of their nuclear triad. So imagine if that happened in America, and imagine if Russia had given Mexico the drones to do it. So all of this is NATO trying to suck the United States directly into full conflict. They've got a 250,000-person army, conscription starting up in parts of Europe, a descendant of, quote, peacekeeping force to Ukraine, really calling an invasion force a peacekeeping force. And then now, as I predicted, it was the next move, NATO claims that Russia is going into the zero phase or 0 hour, and that NATO's now putting out propaganda the last 48 hours that Russia has pre-positioned undercover Spetsnaz special forces all over Europe preparing terror attacks and mass casualty events, and that Russia is preparing to attack Europe proper, which, of course, is completely insane to do that offensively. And so that fits the pattern of the preparation for false flags that will then be blamed on Russia as the pretext to invoke the articles in NATO that brings NATO directly into war. And then if the United States is still part of NATO, that will drag us directly into war with Russia that will quickly escalate into thermonuclear war in every major war game there is. That's why I agree with Elon Musk and Senator Lee that it's time for us to get out of NATO.
Immediately. If you take 3 steps back, so Europe has no reason to fight Russia at all. Europe has every reason to cooperate with Russia, at least on energy, but on a lot of things probably. It refuses. Russia's now formed an alliance, probably permanent, with China. And so, and Ukraine, of course, can't win. They don't have the manpower. They never could. So if you're escalating the war at this point, if you're promoting the war at this point, it seems to me your goal is to destroy Europe. And I think that's kind of always been the goal, to destroy Europe and the United States.
Well, as you stated, it was been the policy in the United States since the 50s, right through Nixon, right through Reagan, right through Herbert Walker Bush, right until just the last 5 years or so, to split China from Russia.
Of course.
It is a strategic blunder of biblical proportions to be roped into the Soros-NATO war. But NATO and the EU Unelected Commission has said for years that Europe's demographics and finances are the worst of any first world nation or sector. And so they say their business model is a 20 to 30-year war, conventional with Russia, that they believe will allow them to stay on a war economy and will finally break Russia, and then they will break Russia into 5 parts. That's official EU Commission policy. It's totally delusional. Russia's outproducing weapons 3-1, has 3 times the troops in the field and only gearing up. And so in the face of that delusional plan, similar to Napoleon's or Hitler's, with Operation Barbarossa in 1942, Europe is trying to double down again and sucking us in.